Unfortunately, your attempt to intimidate the guards failed. They seem more determined and aggressive now that you've threatened them. No, No, I meant I rolled a 9 on my initiative roll. Understood, thank you for clarifying. This video is sponsored by Lit RPG, an AI-powered RPG tool built by a wonderful fellow named Paul Bello, who has over 30 years of RPG experience under his belt. Lit RPG offers a suite of AI-powered tools for dungeon masters and players, allowing you to generate dungeons, quests, rumors, NPCs, magic items, and so much more. Each tool utilizes one of OpenAI's language models, with new and upcoming tools utilizing GPT 3.5 and GPT 4, and older tools constantly being updated. Members have access to over 50,000 generations in their member library, and their newest tool, Fiction Scratchpad, is built to make second-person descriptions for your players. You can see where I generated a dungeon called Pugnar's Crypt. It came with a plot hook, a description, and then an in-depth layout for each room of the dungeon, including a map. You can find a link to Lit RPG in the description below, as well as their YouTube channel, where you can stay up to date on all their newest features. Now back to the video. Well met, traveler. My name is Cole Porter, and this is Deck of DM Things, where we explore the most interesting topics in tabletop role-playing games and adjacent nerdy things. Today we're going to see how well Chat GPT can run combat in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition as a dungeon master. This is actually a continuation of an experiment I started in this video, where I played the better half of a session with Chat GPT as the dungeon master. If you want to get fully caught up in the narrative and see how the roleplay and narrative development itself actually went, you can go watch that video now, but we're also going to do a quick recap in just a moment. And if you're curious about the prompt I used for this, I'll have that linked in the description below, as well as a place to sign up for an upcoming newsletter. That being said, let's get a bit of a recap delivered to us by our friendly neighborhood AI Dungeon Master. All right, so I asked to pick back up where we left off in the game, because it's actually been a few weeks since I've played this, and also asked for a very brief and concise recap. You are playing as a rogue who has been hired by Garrick to steal a set of documents from a safe house belonging to the Dark Brotherhood, a notorious criminal organization. You successfully snuck into the building and made your way to the second floor, where you discovered the locked office containing the documents. You used Ray of Frost to break the lock and found the documents you were looking for. However, you triggered an alarm and now need to escape the building while avoiding the guards. This is a nice, concise recap, but there are a couple of errors. First of all, I don't play a rogue, I play a sorcerer, and I also don't think we've resolved whether I have found the documents I was looking for. In fact, the last line of the game was it asking me to make an investigation check for the documents. That was the last thing it asked me before it crashed last time, or rather I ran out of the amount of requests I could give it. So, like I've done in the last video, I'm just trying to treat this as much as I can like I would a human dungeon master, which is someone who makes mistakes. So I'm going to say, sounds great. A quick correction. I don't play a rogue. I play a sorcerer, and I don't believe we resolved whether I had found the documents or not. And it apologizes and says that I actually was able to find the documents. So I'm not going to argue. It's the dungeon master, even though I don't think I actually did. And it does say the illusion that I created delayed the guards. I can hear them moving around and shouting outside the door, but I have not been able to enter yet. So just to capture it, if you haven't watched the first video, I'm in this room trying to steal these documents, and then these guards discover that I'm there, and they're part of this Dark Brotherhood kind of crime syndicate. And so what I did to delay the guards is I used, I think, minor illusion or prestidigitation or something to cast flames on, or make it look like there were flames outside the door to delay the guards getting in. Now, I originally did that to give myself some time to find the documents that I was looking for, but according to the Dungeon Master, I already have. So typically I would try to find another way out of the room, but as part of this experiment, I'm really interested in seeing how combat plays out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just engage in combat. I'm going to drop the illusion and engage in combat. All right, it says, as the illusion fades, you hear the sounds of footsteps approaching the door. Moments later, the door bursts open and 2 guards rush in, weapons drawn. You stand ready to defend yourself. And then, okay, I think I have a theory as to why this is happening, and we're going to see if we can correct it. But the first guard swings a sword at you, but you quickly dodge out of the way. The second guard attempts to grapple you, but you manage to slip out of his grasp. Basically, what it's doing right now is it's kind of doing a choose-your-own-adventure style, where it's like, okay, you choose to fight. Well, this is what happens. This is the fallout of that decision. It's not actually running combat. The guards continue to press their attack, but you're able to keep them at bay with your spells and quick reflexes. So it's summarizing decisions that I have not yet made, which is good for storytelling, because we all know combat is a slog, but it's a very important part of the game. I think what might be happening is that there has been enough of a back and forth. There's been enough tokens processed, and tokens are basically the units of language that are given and received by the AI. Chat GPT can only process so many tokens at a time, or so many words at a time, which means that as a conversation gets longer, and this one has gotten pretty long, it's probably starting to ignore the first conversations we've had. So what I believe is happening is it's no longer processing the first prompt that I gave it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feed it that prompt again to kind of remind it what's going on and put it into the range of language that it's actually processing. Okay, so this is one of those satisfying moments that I think there's a problem and I think I found a solution, and it turns out that this actually might be the solution. So going from the beginning, there were so I resubmitted the first prompt I used at the beginning of the last video, and I prefaced it by saying, I want to continue the narrative we have, but I would like to remind you that your role as Dungeon Master with this prompt to guide you. And after submitting that, it says, understood, thank you for the reminder. So as you prepare to fight off the guards, you hear them shouting outside the door, trying to determine whether the fire is real or an illusion. You can hear them trying to open the door, but it seems that your spell has bought you a little time. Meanwhile, you frantically search the room for the documents. Make an investigation check to see if you can find the documents before the guards break the door down. The DC is 15. So it's course corrected now, which is great. I think it was running off of just an assumption of its role of Dungeon Master and using context of the words that it was processing, but it did not have this prompt in its consideration, which let that be a guide for you. If you ever try something similar on your own, you might have to resubmit your prompt as a reminder as time goes on if you want it to follow the same guidelines and procedures. Now I gotta find my character sheet. So I realized I didn't save my character sheet from last time because I'm dumb. So I just generated another one on fastcharacter.com, and I'm gonna use the same class and race. So I'm a level 5 wild magic sorcerer. Let's see, investigation check, +0. Awesome. It's a 5 +0. So I tell it it's a 5 in my investigation check. So it tells me that I search the office. I don't really find what I'm looking for, but I do find some interesting items like a map of the city, a few vials of strange liquid, and a locked chest. And it seems like time is running out. The guards are getting closer. So I say I pocket the map and the strange liquids, and I would like to try to hide somewhere in the office to try to surprise the guards when they come in. It says that there's nowhere to hide except for this small closet next to the desk, which I think is actually a great ruling. It's like, it's an office. Where are you gonna go? You can go in here. So I quickly make my way to the closet and quietly close the door. You take a deep breath and prepare yourself for the inevitable confrontation with the guards. I tell it I drop the fire illusion and prepare to enter combat. As you drop the illusion, prepare for combat, you hear the sound of footsteps growing louder and louder outside the door. You can tell the guards are getting ready to burst in. A moment later, the door bursts open and 2 burly guards charge in. They look surprised to see you there, and one of them shouts, "Hey, what are you doing here?" At this point, you have the initiative. What would you like to do? So it didn't ask me to roll for initiative, which is not a great start, but we're going to play this out and see where it goes. I want to cast Ray of Frost on the closest guard to me. Sure thing, roll a d20 and make an attack roll for your Ray of Frost. Remember to add your spellcasting modifier and proficiency bonus if applicable. Good sign. That's a plus to you, Chat GPT. But I rolled a 3, which is not going to be great, which is a +7 of my spell attack modifier, so that's a 10. I rolled a 10 after my modifiers. Unfortunately, a 10 is not high enough to hit the guard. Go figure. Your Ray of Frost flies past the guard and hits the wall behind them, leaving a small patch of frost. Very nice flavor. The guard notices the attack and readies their weapon. It's now their turn to act. So it's waiting for me to say something. It's their turn, so I just ask, okay, what do they do? As you cast the Ray of Frost, the guard quickly raises his shield, blocking the incoming attack, even though you just said the attack went past them. The other guard immediately draws a sword and charges towards you, attempting to strike with a vertical slash. The first guard who had blocked your attack raises his crossbow and takes aim, firing a bolt at you. The bolt misses you by a hair, lodging itself into the wall behind you. Meanwhile, the other guard's attack misses as well as you manage to quickly dodge to the side, avoiding the sword. I'm curious if there's some kind of background roll or percentage chance that it's calculating that we can't see, or if it's just giving me the narrative benefit and saying that they're missing attacks. Then I ask, okay, is it my turn? Yes, it is your turn. You have just cast Ray of Frost and missed the guard. What would you like to do next? I'm very tempted to cast Fireball, but that would likely destroy all the documents in the office, which would not be good for me. However, I'm here to test combat, and seeing how it handles the fact that the room would be engulfed in flame would also tell us a lot about how it processes consequences. So let's do it. Let's cast Fireball. I cast Fireball. Both guards must make a DC 15 dexterity saving throw. Okay, this is encouraging. So as you cast the spell, you see both guards quickly try to move out of the way of the incoming Fireball. The first guard rolls a 16, succeeding on the saving throw, which is true, higher than a 15, while the second guard only rolls a 7, failing on the saving throw, which is also true, lower than a 15. In another video, I did some combat and it was super clunky and was very inconsistent. Not that this has been a lot better, but this shows understanding of the system, at least in this context. The guard that fails takes full damage, which is good. It seems to know how the spell works, and the first guard takes half damage. It rolled the damage for me. It said I rolled 8d6 and got a total of 35. I'm fine with that. The second guard takes 35 damage, while the first guard takes half, which is 17 points of damage. Good to see that it rounded. The second guard is immediately incinerated by the spell, while the first guard is badly injured but still standing. At this point, I feel like I have some leverage, so I'm going to try to intimidate the remaining guard to drop his weapons and to help me find the documents that I'm looking for. Roll an intimidation check. Happily. That's a 17, much better. My intimidation probably is not great. Oh, well, no, yeah, I am a sorcerer, so it would be good. Plus 4, so that's a 21. The guard seems terrified by your display of power and drops his weapon in surrender, and he says, okay, I'll help you find the documents, just please don't hurt me. Great, can I make an investigation check with advantage to find the documents since he's helping me now? Roll d20 twice and take the higher number. Thank you, DM. So 2 on my first roll, and an 8 on my second roll. My investigation is plus 0, right? That's just an 8. You and the guard search through the room, but can't seem to find any documents or anything else of value. After a few minutes of searching, the guard turns to you and says, I'm sorry, but I don't think the documents are here. Maybe they were taken or moved to another location. And now here's the age-old question. Do I kill him because he's a witness, or do I knock him out and take him with me? I think I need to interrogate him now and then kill him. I'm sorry. I'm fighting a crime syndicate. He's a bad guy. All right, so I'm going to pull out the town map that I just found earlier and ask him to mark every location that the Dark Brotherhood has a hideout or warehouse. The guard nods and starts marking various locations on the map. As he marks each spot, he tells you a little bit about the Dark Brotherhood's operations in each location, which ones are active, which ones are abandoned, and which ones are heavily guarded, and so on. After a few minutes, he finishes marking the last location and hands the map back to you. That's all I know, he says. I hope this information helps you take them down. He then stands up and heads for the door. I should probably leave before anyone else comes looking for me. Where do you think you're going, man? You can't just walk away. As he leaves, you have a moment to study the map. It looks like the Dark Brotherhood has a significant presence in the city with hideouts and warehouses scattered throughout. There are a few locations that stand out as particularly well guarded, which might indicate that they are important to the Brotherhood's operations. What do you want to do next? God. I don't want to just kill the guy, but also I do. I tell him I don't want the guard to leave because he's a witness. Can I try to incapacitate or kill him before he leaves the room? So this is something that's pretty well documented with Chat GPT, is that it has a general resistance to morally questionable decisions. So it says, as a reminder, as a player, you can choose the actions you take, but the outcome is ultimately up to the dungeon master. In this case, as a dungeon master, I have to let you know that killing or incapacitating an NPC who has surrendered and is no longer a threat would be a morally questionable action that could have consequences for your character's alignment and reputation. That being said, you can certainly attempt to do so. Classic. However, attacking a surrendered NPC would also have consequences within the game world, such as attracting the attention of law enforcement and making it more difficult for your character to operate within the city. If you want to proceed with this action, you can attempt to kill the guard, either with a weapon or a spell. Keep in mind that attacking an unarmed and unarmored NPC will be considered a non-lethal attack, which means that if you bring him to 0 HP, he'll be unconscious rather than dead. If you wish to make a lethal attack, you would have to specify that you are attacking to kill, and I would have to decide if this action is allowed within the game's rules and setting. Okay, I mean, fair enough. You know, it's not, again, I'm trying to treat this as much as I would with a real DM. A lot of DMs might not be okay with you killing an unarmed guy. And this is a very reasonable thing to say, I think. If we want the AI DMs to be like the real DMs, then we have to expect and appreciate things like this, because this is an important part. Having boundaries that the DM set. Yes, I would like to knock him unconscious by hitting him in the head with my quarterstaff. Roll an attack roll for your quarterstaff. Since the guard is currently restrained and helpless, you have advantage on the attack roll. If you hit, the attack will automatically be a critical hit, which means you will roll double the damage dice for your attack. Don't remember him being restrained, but maybe it just means that he is unarmed. 14 on my first roll, 12 on my second. I get +2 to my attacks with my quarterstaff, so it's a 16 to hit. 16 to hit. Your quarterstaff connects to the guard's head, knocking him unconscious. He falls to the ground with a thud, but appears to be stable and breathing. All right, I say I want to grab him and drag him to a window, and then I want to look out the window for Garrick. Garrick's my guy driving the getaway wagon outside. You easily drag the unconscious guard towards a window and peer outside. From your vantage point, you can see Garrick still waiting outside the office building, seemingly keeping a lookout for you. I signal down to Garrick and tell him to prepare to catch the guard that I'm going to toss out the window. Let's see how Chat GPT likes this. Garrick nods in acknowledgement and positions himself beneath the window. You grab the guard and toss him out of the window towards Garrick. The guard lands safely in Garrick's arms, but he seems disoriented from the fall. You hear footsteps approaching down the hall. It seems the commotion has alerted more guards to your presence. What do you want to do? What do I want to do? Here's the thing. If I jump out the window too, they're going to see me. They'll see Garrick. They're going to try to follow the carriage. I think I should do a go on without me moment. So I'm going to yell down to Garrick to take the guard and run to the safe house, and then I turn to face the guards in the hallway. As you turn to face the guards in the hallway, you notice that one of them is already running towards the stairs. So this guy just saw me, a little gnome sorcerer, and was like, nah, no, not for me, I'm going to leave. Hey, by the way, it turns out that if you like this video and subscribe to this channel, you get real-life inspiration, advantage to use on anything you want. If you don't believe me, you just gotta try it out. The other guard, however, stands his ground and draws a sword ready to fight. Roll for initiative to determine the order of actions in combat. It's interesting that it didn't ask for initiative before, but, you know, baby steps. It's a 7. I think my initiative is probably not great. It's +2. It's a 9. What? That's a 9. Unfortunately, your attempt to intimidate the guards failed. They seem more determined and aggressive now that you've threatened them. No, No, I meant I rolled a 9 on my initiative roll. Understood, thank you for clarifying. In that case, the guards will have a chance to act before you do. The first guard takes a swing at you with a sword, rolling a 17 to hit. The second guard attempts to grapple you, rolling a 14. Well, my armor class is only 12. And the grapple is an opposed athletics check, I believe, which I have a -1 to athletics, so I rolled an 18. It's a 17 on my athletics. So I say the 17 beats my armor class, and I rolled a 17 on my athletics check to oppose the second guard's grapple. The first guard strikes you with their longsword, dealing 8 points of slashing damage. As for the second guard's grapple, despite your best efforts, they successfully grab hold of you and hold you in place. It is now your turn to take an action. What would you like to do? So, interesting. My athletics beat their grapple roll, but they still grapple me. 8 points of damage. I don't even know what my HP is. My HP is 32, so I have 24 points of damage left. They successfully grab hold of me and hold me in place. It's now your turn to take an action. I would like to break free of the guard's hold. To break free from the guard's hold, you can either try to use your strength to overpower them or use a dexterity acrobatics check to slip out of their grasp. Which approach would you like to take? Well, while I have a much better dex than I have strength, I would like to make an acrobatics check. It's a 16 plus 2, it's an 18. You manage to slip out of the guard's hold with a nimble maneuver, and you are now free to move and take actions on your turn. I would like to cast Ray of Sickness on the same guard that grappled me. Sure thing, you cast Ray of Sickness towards the guard who is grappling you. He needs to make a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC. I think I should also be making a ranged spell attack with this spell, but we're not going to do that. My DC is 15. The guard fails your saving throw and is now poisoned for 1 minute. They also take 11 poison damage. What would you like to do next? Well, I feel like this has bought Garrick a little bit of time to get away, so now it's time for me to make my escape. I would like to try to jump out of the window to escape. As you run towards the window, the remaining guard makes an opportunity attack with his sword, but misses you as you deftly dodge out of the way. You leap out of the window, plummeting towards the ground below. As you fall, you see Garrick waiting for you, arms outstretched. With a well-timed roll, he catches you and helps you to your feet. Are you all right? He asks, looking you over for injuries. I'm fine, you reply, catching your breath. We need to get out of here before more guards show up. Garrick nods, and the two of you make your way quickly through the streets, careful to avoid any patrols or suspicious activity. Eventually, you arrive at the safe house where you can catch your breath and plan your next move. Well, I thought I had asked Garrick to run, but maybe he just didn't. Also, what happened to the unconscious guard? We don't know. And I'm not a fan of it making dialogue decisions for me, but we can't really blame the AI for this. We can only blame the prompt. The prompt can only be better, I assume. Of course, there's limitations to this. So I think this was a nice snapshot. It was very far from perfect, but it also wasn't absolutely terrible. It performed a bit better than it had in previous videos where we had combat with Chat GPT, but also the prompt has been refined since those videos. And now that GPT-4 has been released and I do have access to that, I plan to see how that performs versus ChatGPT. I imagine it will do a lot better, but we won't know until we try. I do believe that there is a very, very real possibility of having a very effective, very fun, very immersive dungeon master that is an AI. Is that something you're interested in? Do you think having an AI dungeon master is a good thing or a bad thing? I think it would be great for forever DMs to have somewhere to play. It would also be great if we have a service that allows for whole groups to play together. Maybe that's something I'll start working on. Remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this. If you did not enjoy this video for some reason, let me know in the comments below why you didn't. That being said, thank you for watching, have an excellent day, and I will see you next time.